the interest rate is 0. Then you made some payments, right? You made some payments. So you are keeping this amount, which is 9. That is the equal amount that we computed. 9063.44. First installment is what? 9063 at the year 1. At the end of the year 1, you were having this amount in the kunku. You are having this amount in the kunku or in the fund. Now, in year 2, you are starting year 2. How much is in the fund at the beginning of year 2? At the beginning of year 2, you are having 9063.44. Interest on it is how much? 10% on 9063.44. So 9063.44 times 10% is 906.344, right? Or 0.344. So if you add this amount to that, okay, then you are making your equal payments. The equal payments, you are making it every year the same amount. So this equal amount, just write it throughout, because that's the equal amount you'll be paying throughout. 0.44. Then third year to write it 9063.44, because that is the equal amount that you'll be paying. So it is equal. So if it's 1 to 10, you write it to 10, right? But that is the equal amount that you are paying. And then, so now, this amount at the beginning plus the interest plus the equal amount, how much will be in the fund? How much will be in the fund? 903.44 plus 906.344. So that will be 19,033.22 in the fund at the end of year 2. This at the end of year 2 will be the beginning. We'll start with the beginning in year 3. So year 3 beginning will be 19,033.22. Interest rate on it, 10% on it is how much? Which is 0.10% on it is giving us 19,003.32. So you add all of these, all the 3, 1, 2, 3. What will be the total amount? The total amount should be approximately or equivalent to 30,000 that you need to buy a salon car. Should be equal to 30,000 that Philips wants to buy a car, right? To buy a salon car. So at the end of the year, we should get our 30,000 that we want to use to buy a salon car. Alright, so that is the same fund for you. Very small and straightforward. Easy to calculate. That is the same fund. So let's talk another example of the sinking fund, and we proceed with our organization. Yes, any question?
Please, I don't understand how.
Sorry?
Equal payment for year 2, 9063.4.
Equal payment for year 2.
Yes.
Equal payment is this amount. Look at this amount. The amount that we computed. That's why I said that with the sinking fund, we have to compute the equal amount you'll be paying, which is this 9063.44. This amount is annuity, annual. This is annuity, equal payment. So that you write the amount throughout. 1963.44, 1963.44. You write it throughout. Assuming years is from 1 to year 10, I would write it. The first thing I can do is begin to write the 1963.44, 1963.44, 1963.44, 1963.44. I write all of them to the last year, right? Because that is annuity. You are making equal payment. You've made up your mind that every year I'll deposit 1963.44 into the fund. That is what you've made up your mind, or that is what you are doing, right? You are depositing 1963.44 into the fund every year. So this amount is constant throughout.
Okay. Thank you.
You add the three to get the amount at the end. This plus this plus this, you get the end. This will be at the end of year 2. When you are starting year 3, that will be the amount in the fund, right? Then compute the interest on it. Because you are keeping your amount in the fund, you earn interest. So the interest 10% you will be added to it. Then you see that your money will be more. That's why you are depositing your money at the bank, right? Because you earn interest on it. The interest will be more. Then you'll be able to get your 30,000 that you want to be able to buy the salon car. All right. I believe I've answered your question. I believe I've answered your question. Okay. Any questions?
Okay.
All right. Let's take an example. Fraser borrowed 5,000 cedis at the rate of 10% for 3 years. For 3 years. Due to financial constraints. Due to financial constraints, he decided to invest. He decided to invest equal amount. He decided to invest equal amount each year. To invest equal amount each year at the rate of 12%. At the rate of 12% in order to pay the loan. In order to pay the loan. To pay the loan and interest. In order to pay the loan and interest at the end of the 3rd year. At the end of the 3rd year. Calculate how much he contributed. He contributed into the fund. He contributed into the fund. into the fund each year. B. Use the sinking fund. Use the sinking fund schedule. Use the sinking fund schedule to show the contribution in the fund. To show the contribution in the fund. Right. So how much did Fraser borrow? Fraser borrowed 5,000, right? Fraser borrowed 5,000. So you have to compute how much he contributed into the fund each year.
Oh.
Hello? All right, so now which of them are you using the present value or we are using the future value? Fraser borrowed 5,000 at a rate of 10%. So the 5,000 is the present value that he borrowed, right? Due to the financial constraints, he had decided to invest equal amount each year at a rate of 12% in order to pay the loan and interest at the end of the third year, right? So now we have to know the future value of the loan because he's borrowing 5,000, right? He's borrowing 5,000 today, present value, for 3 years. For 3 years. So what will be the future value, right? You are borrowing 5,000. What will be the future value of the loan? So the future value of the loan be the present value. This is a single amount. It is not an annuity. But he is borrowing 5,000. Okay? So he is borrowing 5,000. But the 3 years would actually tell us that that's where we use the annuity formula. That is where we use the annuity formula. But let's first of all determine the present value of the loan. So the present value of the loan is 1 plus I exponent n. So that is 5,000. 1 plus, what is the interest rate? The loan interest rate is how much? Loan interest rate is 10%. So the interest rate of the loan is 10%, 0.10. Number of period is 3 for 3 years. Right? So what is the future value of the loan? Future value of the loan is, so that will be 6,655. That is the future value of the loan. You know that this is the loan rate. The loan rate is 10% as given in the question. And then the investment rate. The investment rate is how much? That is, due to financial, he decided to invest as an equal amount each year at a rate of 12%. So the investment rate is 12%, 12%, 12%, right? So now this is the future value of the loan, right? Future value of the loan. So they are calculate how much he would contribute into the fund each year. We know that to calculate how much you would compute into the fund, we are going to use the future value. With the sinking fund, you compute the equal amount, right? To compute the equal amount, you use the future value. With the sinking fund, to compute the equal amount, we use the future value, right? The future value is A over I 1 plus I n minus 1. N minus 1, right? So to get the equal payment, it is A is equal to future value times the I all over 1 plus the I n minus 1, right? So what do we have? We have the future value is 665 times the interest is what? Investment interest is 0.12 all over 1 plus the interest rate 0.12. Number of years is 3 years minus 1.
I want to go and buy something today.
So what will be the total? What is the final figure?
The money they gave me this thing. This is still how much? Not expensive.
So that is
Somebody's money. I'll buy something.
1972.20. That is the equal amount that they would operator have to contribute into the fund each year. So it has to contribute 1972.20 into the fund each year, right? To be able to meet the 6655 value, 6655 value, right? So note that you are taking the loan 5,000 today. This loan that you are taking, when you are going to pay, are you going to pay the same 5,000? No, you are not going to pay the same 5,000. You pay with interest. So we want to compute the value at the end of the loan tenor, right? At the end of the loan tenor, you are going to pay an amount which is higher than the 5,000. That is what we computed as the 6655, right? So this is the future value you'll be paying at the end of the third year, right? At this amount, how much should we contribute today to be able to meet this 6655 in the future? That is the equal amount. So this one 1997. If we contribute it each year into the fund, we should be able to meet the 6655. Someone is looking at the background.
Hey, what be a red flag?
Let me see the question.
Somebody said, Mr. Oba GPA 3.9 and it's in engineering.
Is it Mimi or? Dennis. Is it Dennis? All right. Okay, so now we are done with the equal amount. The question B says we should use the sinking fund schedule to show the contribution in the fund. The sinking fund schedule to find the contribution in the fund. So we know that at the end of the year we should be getting 6655. That's the answer in our head, right? So the sinking fund schedule. The sinking fund schedule. We have the year. So year amount at the beginning. And the principal, we can also be the principal. The interest, what else? The annual or the equal payment into the fund, and then the amount at end. Amount at the end. So the interest is what? Is 12%. We are going to use the investment interest, right? So how many years? For 3 years. 1, 2, 3 years. At the beginning of year 1, you had nothing in the fund. Zero. Interest rate will be 0. Then you deposited 1972.20. This 19 will be deposited every year. So let me even write all at once. 1972.20. third year 1972.20, right? So I'll be writing it throughout, and then still at the year one. At the end of year one, you were having this amount in the fund 1972.20. You came to year two. Beginning of year two, you were still having 1972.20. Then interest on it, 12% interest on it is given. Is given 236.66, right? 236.66. So adding this plus this plus this, what do you get? You are getting 4181.06, right? 4181.06. So this is the amount at the end of year two. Now we come to the beginning of year three, it's still the same amount. That's why in accounting we say that at the end of 31st December 2018, it's the same as 1st January 2019. Right? 31st December 2018 is the same as 1st January 2019. So the amount at the end of the year two is the same amount at the beginning of year three. So that is 4181.06. Interest, 12% interest on it is given as 501.73. So you add the three, this plus this plus this, you are having something at the end of the day should be approximately 6655. So if you get an amount, it should be approximately 6655. But that is what we want to get to be able to meet the loan obligation. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is the sinking fund. That is the sinking fund for you. Very easy and straightforward. Very easy and straightforward. All right. So let's quickly finish with our amortization schedule for today. Let's quickly finish with the amortization schedule. So amortization. What is amortization? Amortization schedule is a schedule. So this is a schedule for the payment of a loan, right? For the payment of a loan on equal basis. On equal basis. Right? Amortization schedule is basically for the payment of a loan on equal basis, right? So note, always compute the equal amount. The first one, sinking fund, is always compute the equal amount using the future value. Here, always compute the equal amount. Always compute the equal amount to be paid or received. No, to be paid. The equal amount to be paid using on the loan. Equal amount to be paid on the loan using the present value of annuity. Using the present value of annuity formula. Present value of annuity formula. Right? So what is the present value of annuity? We know that the general present value of annuity is A over I into bracket 1 plus IN minus 1 all over 1 plus IN. Right? And we usually use at the end, right? Unless the question states at the beginning. All right. Okay. So let's try an example. Let's try an example. Okay, it looks like some of you have class, right? So you can just excuse us, and then the recording will be made available so that you can come back and watch. All right. So let's look at an example. Let's look at an example. So Bennett borrowed 10,000 cedis at a rate of 15% for Bennett borrowed for 10,000 cedis at a rate of 15% for 3 years. Calculate how much she will pay. How much she will pay each year. Calculate how much she will pay each year and show the payment was on an amortization was schedule. On an amortization schedule. So yes, solution. Let's look at how different the amortization schedule is how different it is from the sinking fund schedule. Right? So we can't borrow in the future, right? So we borrow now. The borrowing, I'm going to borrow. When am I going to? I'm going to borrow now, right? So what is the Bennett borrow 10,000? So that is the present value, right? 10,000 present value. I'm going to borrow. I'm going to borrow now. That's the present value. And then the interest rate is what? 15%, right? And the number of period is 3 years. Is it a multiple compounding? No, it's not a multiple compound. How much you would pay each year? So annuity, and it's not a multiple compounding. So what is the present value formula? We say that we are going to use the present value. Present value is A over I into bracket 1 plus I n minus 1 all over 1 plus I n, right? So how do we make A the subject? We make A the subject. If you make A the subject, you're getting PV times I all over 1 plus I n minus 1 all over 1 plus I n. So then, if we insert it, what are we getting? We are getting, what is our PV? PV is 10,000 times the interest rate, which is 15%, 0.15, all over the 1 plus 0.15 exponent. Number of period, I think, is 3 years minus 1 all over 1 plus 0.153. So what are you getting? So according to my answer, I'm getting 4379.77. So they're saying that we should represent this on an amortization schedule. So let's now come to the amortization schedule. Amortization schedule. So amortization schedule, we have the year, we have the loan amount or the principal, we have the interest, then we have the equal payment. You have the equal payment or the annual payment. The annual payment, right? And then we have the principal repaid. The principal repaid. So let's have it. Amount at beginning. Amount at the beginning, or the principal, or the loan. Amount at the beginning. Then you have the interest. Do you want to be the interest? I mean, is it 15%? What is the interest? The interest is 15%. Then we have the equal payment or the annual payment. Then we have the principal repaid. So this is also known as the principal. So principal was repaid. And then we can have the amount at the end. Right? Okay. So now, how many years?
Yeah.
How many years?
3 years.
2, 3 years. We have year 1, year 2, year 3. So what will be the amount in the fund at the beginning? In the beginning, what is the amount in the fund?
Yeah.
Sorry, this is not fund. This is amortization. So what will be the loan? What is the loan amount? The principal. The principal is 10,000, right? So the 10,000, we are supposed to pay interest on it. Interest is 15%, giving us 1,500. What is the equal payment? We compute equal payment. So this is the equal payment. Right? Equal payment is 4, 3, 7, 9.77. This is the equal payment. So if we make this payment, it's going to reduce the amount that we are paying for the loan, right? Amount that we are paying in the loan. So this is the amount that she's paying. So can you put it in bracket just to tell that it is reducing this loan amount? Then what is the principal repaid? What is the principal repaid? So the principal repaid, we are making equal payments. So that's the difference between this amount and this amount, the interest. Right? The principal repaid. The principal repaid is the difference between the interest, right?
The difference between what?
Hello? Hello, can you hear me? So the principal repeat, the difference between the interest rate and the equal payment, right? So if you deduct the 1,500 from the 4,379.77, what are you getting? So in order not to confuse, let me just begin clean this bracket. So the equal payment, the principal repeat, you mean the amount of principal that you are paying, right? If you make the equal payment includes the principal and then the interest. So how much is the interest? Interest is 1,500. So the principal repeat will be 4,379.77 minus 1,500, and that is giving us how much? Two what?
8.
28.
79.77.
79.77, right? 79.77. So what will be the amount at the end? What will be the amount at the end? So what will be the amount at the end? The amount at the end will be the principal minus the principal repeat. The principal minus what? The principal was repeat. So this principal minus the principal repeat. Actually, let me write the formula for it here. So the principal repeat. Let me write the formula here. So that when someone takes the document, the annual payment minus the to the principal repeat. Note, principal repeat is equal to the annual payment minus interest paid minus the interest, right? Minus the interest paid. And what is the principal at the beginning? What is the principal at the beginning? Principal at beginning. Principal at beginning is the previous principal minus previous principal minus principal repeat. Previous principal minus principal repeat. How do you get the principal at the end? This is the amount that we are paying. We have paid 2,878.77. How much is remaining?
7120.
7120.23. So this will be the same amount at the beginning. What is the interest on that? Percentage of interest on that? Which is 15%. 0.15 times. What do you have?
1068.0.
1068.03. Right? So now the equal payments will be constant. So that you can have to write it throughout 7439.77, 4379.77. Right? Right? I'm sure if I bring the bracket here, it shouldn't confuse anyone because we are making the payment. So it's the loan. We are making the loan so that you don't add it to the fund like the one how we did for the first one. For the single fund that we added. This one we are making the payment. This is the loan amount and its interest. Loan and the interest. So if we make payments, it has to reduce this loan amount and the interest, right? If we make a payment, it has to reduce. So now 7120.23 plus 1068.03 minus 4379.77. So I'm 08.49. So 08.49. This is the balance at the end. This balance at the end. This is the balance at the end. But if you want to get the principal, what is the formula for the principal repeat? If you want to get the principal repeat, that's the annual payment, which is 4379.77 minus 1068.03. What do you have? You're having 3311.74, right? 11.74. That is for the principal repeat. But the amount at the end is this plus this minus this. That will be the amount at the end. So this amount at the end will be the what? Or we can say that the principal minus the amount repeat. Principal minus the amount or the principal minus the principal repeat. The principal minus the principal repeat. How much do you have? Let's say 7120.23 minus 3311.74. What are we getting? We are getting the same amount. I don't know if you can see whether you are getting the same amount. Let's see that we are getting the same amount. You can either use the 712 minus the principal repeat and get this amount. This minus this and get this amount. Or this plus this plus this minus this. Then you are getting this amount. So any of them will work. Alright. So the 3808.49 is at the end, and that will be the beginning here. 3808.49. Interest rate on that is given as what? 15% on that. Times 0.15. That's giving us 571.27, right? if I want to get a principal repeat, annual payment. What is annual payment? 4379.77 minus 571.27. So what do we have? We are getting we are getting the principal repeat. We are getting what? 3808.5, and that's 0.49 and 5. Yeah. If you want to get the amount at the end, what will it be? Amount at the end is this minus this, or you can say this plus this minus this. Either the principal minus this, they are going to get what?
0.
0. We are going to get 0 or dash. Why? Because at the end of the third year, you would have paid all the what? All the liability. You would have paid all the liability. You would have paid all the liability. On that note, thank you very much for coming. This is where we are going to end for today. And the next time that we meet, we'll be looking at the capital or the investment appraisal, capital budgeting or the investment appraisal, capital budgeting or investment appraisal. So you can take a video and then get an in-depth understanding of whatever you've done, and make sure that you have subscribed to the channel. Make sure you have liked, you have commented, because that will push us to either continue or not. That will have a wonderful day.
Okay, bye.
Bye.